Hello, welcome back. So this one, I just called it riffing because I'm just basically just talking about what's on the top of my head right now. So we see what has happened here. The narrative by we'll just call it slow counting, and you'll see that more and more will come to go favor the people with the elephant logo. And and then of course you know Donald Trump made his announcement last night that he's going to run for president. And you see, don't you find it weird how the establishment, even the establishment, is pushing this idea of Governor DeSantis running against Donald Trump or being the new star or whatever, and they don't like him one bit. And I really hope he doesn't take the bait. And I'll tell you why. Because right now, it would be he really is doing an awesome job as governor. You ask any Floridian, they're going to say we want him, till he's done with his term, you know. So I'm all for DeSantis 2028, don't get me wrong. Now, you'll see, and I've talked about things like predictive programming in the past, and how the fix is in, and how there's like sort of a media ink for both sides. So in the age of like I'm not gonna call it alt tech quite yet. I'm gonna say in the age of like digital streaming and whatever, how millennials and Gen Z get their news and information is via streaming platforms and video platforms like YouTube and TikTok and Twitch, and they get all their information there, and they have 100% abandoned television. They have abandoned, like, even if you have, news apps or whatever, like, say, from, corporate media. So they decided, okay, well, how do we kind of control that sort of information going forward? How do we get them to not only control information, how do we get them to kind of put out sort of propaganda and steer them towards a direction we want them to go, that's good for our gander, good for our base, or good for kind of keeping them in line, the red people and the blue people, and really can't think outside that box. If you think about it like a two-lane highway, but you can't pull over to the median, or you can't turn down a street and go a completely different direction. No, you got to stay in those two lanes. You can't go one way or another. So we could look at things like, the Daily Wire or Blaze, which are not, in my opinion, are not in your best interest. And Fox News, and there are some good people on there, but in general, they got to step in line with the thing. So I would say, I guess Salem would probably be the only kind of big one that's that is somewhat more trustworthy than the others. So just understand that they got a rubber stamp on it. They're there for a reason. That's not by accident. That is not by accident that they're pushing for on these big, we'll call them conservative ink, as Mark Dice says. And here's the other thing I want to address, and it's important to address this. Uh, you know, for for those of you like myself who call themselves Christian, who follow Christ, who say that Christ is their personal Lord and Savior, we often sacrifice certain values because someone might take our side on a certain issue. And I've seen that happen. I've seen that happen with quite a few things. So the moment, and I'm going to say that, I mean, for instance, the whole trans thing. You know, case in point, Jenner. Jenner. Think about that. If they didn't have Jenner as a conservative, that's it. That would be it. It's slowly morphing things into a certain way. Understand that. Understand that. And it's like, okay, and what about this, that, and the other thing? Just because they're all for lowering taxes and cutting government and all this other stuff does not mean that they are ones to be up there at the pulpit. They need Jesus just like everybody else. And then that's the other thing. We are sacrificing at the altar of politics. We are not going to the altar of God, we're going to the altar of politics. And we often conflate that. I mean, once you start having, pro-life, this pro-life, that, and they're 100% for your views on one thing, but they either reject Christ or there's something that they are not in line with, lockstep, and so we often kind of veer off. For instance, okay, Glenn Beck is an example. Glenn Beck's an example. Okay, he is a Mormon, and a Mormon is not a Christian. And I say that because when you look at Mormonism, you look at it through the lens of their lens, which is trying to become a god. Mormonism is polytheism. And I could just go into I probably can make a video go into a big deep detail on that. But think about that. Think about that. So we have this guy, Glenn Beck, going to Christian universities like Lee and like Liberty, giving speeches, and it's like, why? Thou shalt not have no other god before me, and no one should add or take away from this book. And we let that happen. Not to say that someone who when you have certain political ideologies and they might not line up religiously with you, that's fine to kind of talk about those exchange of ideas, but to welcome them into the fold of your religion is messed up. Oh, for example, here's another thing. Now we see, Christians, Jews, Muslims, uh, you know, coming out against the CRT thing, and then I see this whole thing with, and Rick Warren, like Chrislam and stuff, and saying, okay, it's like no, they if they deny the Trinity, they're not someone you need to bring into your fold, into your church. So you see what I'm saying? You could be friends with them, you can witness to them, you can hang out with them, but to have an equal communion, unequally yoked, that is not right. So that's that one. So what else do I have to riff about? Okay, so right here. Let me get a sip of water. Okay, so now it's amazing to see this sort of thing play out. To have big these alternative tech platforms will only be a while before they get absorbed by big tech platforms, and then we're just gonna just let it happen, let it just kind of plow us over. This sort of astroturfing, you're gonna see it. You are 100% gonna see it. So you need to be careful. You need to follow the money on where it goes, where that app comes from. For example, I know a lot of people to swear by Airbnb. However, a lot of Airbnb's holdings is in Beijing, and if you are a Beijing company, you must report your data collection to the Chinese cyberspace authority. That goes with Airbnb, that goes with TikTok, that goes with Discord. Any company any established company that China is has a good part of the shares in, and whatever co-owns or outright owns, or if it's a Chinese company, they will have your data. They are required to have your data and give it over to the Chinese Communist Party. Understand that. And it's one thing to do something in ignorance. You don't know. But once you find something out, you just gotta not do it. It's kind of this once you know where something comes from and you know it's just bad, it's evil, don't do it. Don't do it. Because here's the thing. Governments like that can't accept criticism. And you could kind of see America morphing into that, unfortunately. So why give someone more ammunition? So if you're saying all these stuff or whatever, given just a even just a satire opinion, say, oh wow, President G is Winnie the Pooh type of thing, and then you and you forget you've said that, and then you find yourself maybe going to China for whatever reason, a trip or whatever, for whatever reason, they say, "Hey, we noticed that in such and such and such and such, you called our dear leader Winnie the Pooh. Can you explain that?" And if they don't like your explanation, they'll throw you in the in the gulags. They'll harvest your organs and whatnot, man. So again, you gotta be on the know. It's important to be on the know. And so it's all about control, keeping people isolated, keeping people separated, keeping people divided. Think about that. 100% think about that. You're gonna find that this that it's the tension's got to be really thick, and it's like here's the thing, and here's what they have. This is what they are doing. They're taking two dogs that are set to do a dog fight, getting them so mad, so ready, so whatever to get them to fight each other, and on both ends, they got a leash, and they'll only let you get so close to each other, and they'll yank that leash. But instead of fighting the other dog, you should be biting the guy that's got the leash, right? Bite the guy that's got the leash. This is the problem. We instead of going after the guy that's got the leash, we go after someone who's also being tugged on a leash. You see where I'm coming from, people? Do you see that? Can you understand that? And then so they's like, no, no, it's that one. It's that one. Or dog, go get the cat. Go get the cat. Oh, can't get the cat. Oh, can't get the cat. Meanwhile, you know, that neighbor next door is probably going to treat you better, probably going to feed you better instead of giving you crappy and scant food like this guy is with a leash. Anyways, so those are my thoughts today. Take with them what you will, and I'll see you on the next one.